Welcome to Spin the Wheel Showdown, where every video I sit down with a guest and we're going to spin that leader wheel. And depending on what the wheel gets, we're going to be playing a game with two different random leaders, some of the leaders we have not played, and going to see who is the better leader. Now let's spin that wheel and see what we get. What's up, everybody? The wheel has spoken, and I'm going to be piloting Black Purple Luffy against Aegis's Robin list. This was a Black Purple Luffy list I put together using some references, some from some decks that placed well in the Eastern meta, as well as some decks from the Western meta. This deck hasn't been really doing too much in the competitive sphere, but this deck is pretty fun. I ended up going first, and I did not have Zoro on my 3 Dawn turn. Would have loved to see that Zoro to rank myself up to 4 Dawn and potentially swing 7k, as Zoro and Luffy's effects allow me to get two active Dawn. Which would have been pretty nice there to also just establish a body on board, but unfortunately that's not how we were able to play out this turn. Instead, just swing an 8k and good old Robin takes it. And on the 4 Dawn turn, Robin is an interesting deck. I'm not really sure what to expect. We haven't really seen Robin played much in any of like the more well-known competitive circuits, but if you've played at your locals, it's a pretty cool little deck here. And I just kind of expect lots of triggers, right? So that could have been, it might have actually been a Nami trigger on top there. So in hindsight, not having Zoro might have saved me here. But it's going to go ahead and play out the Nico Olivia and give good old Robin leaders plus 3k. And for those who don't know, Robin has Banish, which is pretty darn strong, as well as the ability to ramp 1 Dawn rested whenever she attacks. And I think that's exactly what Aegis is going to do. So Aegis capitalizing on the fact that she has Banish here. She's going to go ahead and discard that Nami, ramp 1 Dawn up to 5 Dawn, and then go ahead and swing 8k into myself. I am the 2k king right now. I got at least 4 2ks in hand, and we're just going to go ahead and 2k out of that one here and go up to our 5 Dawn turn. This turn we've got a few plays, and honestly the biggest play is just Frankie here. Frankie is going to allow us to kind of filter out our hand, find some new things, and then get our Dawn back, right? So we're not going to be hurting at all in resources here. I've got 3 2ks and an uncounterable card. That Sanji, though, might end up being pretty useful as the game goes on here. So should I discard that? I guess I decide to here. Maybe I can find something cool. We end up finding a Gecko Moria and a 2-drop blocker here. So our hand still not really coming together here. In hindsight, maybe I should have discarded one of the 2ks, but Robin's just going to keep attacking me, being as aggressive as possible, and I just can't afford to be just constantly banishing life, right? It's just very unfortunate to sit on the other side. Black Purple Luffy already kind of has that problem where aggro decks kind of just like cannibalize him a little bit, so it's definitely a little bit scary here. Robin up to I believe 7 Dawn here. Next turn, going to be able to play down that Yamato that's in their hand. Pretty strong to be playing Yamato down that fast, and especially with just 7 life on the board, Yamato is going to be able to just easily take care of one of the big threats that I potentially put on the next turn here. And we're kind of getting out ramped right now. Yes, I've got the Black Mirror in hand. I could always play that out to try to start ramping, but we're currently not really doing any ramping for the supposed purple ramp deck, and instead Robin's kind of doing all the ramping here. So Robin definitely showing me up here in this specific matchup, and has a little blocker on board. Gonna go ahead and swing with that Saul, 5k into lead here. I've got a few 2ks in hand, likely just going to, I am potentially considering taking it just because I know that Robin's gonna be swinging as well, and I can just counter out of the Robin. We end up revealing or getting a top knot. That does have a trigger, but it does require me minus 2 Dawn, and at this point I don't want to be setting myself any further back just because I'm only on 5 Dawn, going to be on 7 Dawn on the next turn, and if I minus 2 Dawn, that does not trigger Luffy's effect because it only has to be on my turn, so I can use Top Knot on my next turn here. And we're going to see Robin just going as aggressive as possible, playing out the Nico Olivia to give Robin 3k into the Egghead Nami to KO my Frankie blocker. So now this is going to be a 9k attack going into lead. And man, was I not expecting that one when I took that first 5k hit. Would have loved to have that Gum Gum Giant in hand. And in hindsight, maybe should have countered out of that first hit. Would have instead liked to get that Gum Gum Giant into hand here. But oh well, it is what it is. Robin's being incredibly aggressive. Using 2 2ks to hand to just keep pushing banish damage is pretty formidable right now. And my hand is just it's just clunking up right now. We got a whole lot of 2Ks, not a whole lot of action right now. We're going to just go ahead and play the Black Maria out. We're going to do exactly the Black Maria things, which, if you don't know, Black Maria actually triggers purple black Luffy's effect, because you return Dawn at the end of turn, and if you return more than two or more Dawn, his effect is now active. We're going to play out Shiki. Shiki cares about me having 8 or more Dawn to allow me to draw a card, discard a card, which is pretty great here. And then I do have the top knot here to maybe bottom deck that Saul, who's, yes, he's a blocker, but I think he's just going to keep attacking me every turn. Robin seems to be incredibly aggressive. We're going to actually instead think about just swinging 7k. So we're going to go 7k here into lead. Just try to keep pressuring right now. Maybe save that top knot for another threat on this next turn. Definitely could have been a consideration to do the top knot here. But, oh well. We're still going to get our Dawn ramp from the Black Maria here. Just waiting for to go to end of turn. We're going to go to -3 Dawn, and then Luffy's going to see that Dawn leave, and I'm going to go ahead and get that Dawn back. So we are going to be up to 10 Dawn on our next turn, so kind of jumping ahead on curve using Black Maria, which is going to be pretty nice for our Gecko Moria play. We'll slam down Gecko Moria. If we block with the Shiki, we can definitely put the Shiki back into play 2 off Gecko Moria, which is going to be a pretty great way. We're likely to cycle 3 cards here, but Robin being incredibly aggressive. I honestly don't know what to expect when I'm playing against this leader. Like, do they play like budget Enel, right? Like just playing big threats, or do they go more aggressive with, you know, playing out the Nico Olivias and just like taking, you know, doing the combo shenanigans with the various triggers like Onami, as well as this Egghead Nami here. So honestly, it looks like a pretty unique build of Robin. You know, using the cards that were made for her, as well as having it looks like I had a Gum Giant in hand, and we're on the 9 Dawn turn. It could be a very easy turn to just slam down a Yamato, not at least amount of life to be able to really take advantage of her effect, as Yamato can just, you know, clear anything on the board, whether I'm at 2 or 3, whether we're at a combined 4 or 3 life. But if Aegis is at 1 life, definitely could get a little more value for that here. And just going to get 5k is going to get a 2k, and then another 5k. Oh man, this is looking rough. I got one 2k in hand, and I also have the Gum Giant. But if I play the Gum Giant, I'm definitely taking myself off at 10 Dawn on this next turn. And do I want to do that? I don't know. I could potentially do that. We're going to go ahead and counter out of that as well. And so now Robin's going to be coming in. We're going to block with Shiki, exactly setting up the plan that I wanted to make. And it looks like just going to slam down the Yamato. Just a value play, taking out my Black Maria, absolutely wiping my board right now. And things are not looking good for Black Purple Luffy. But hey, we've got a secret, nice little secret in our hand, and that's good old Gecko Moria. Now, Gecko Moria, everybody knows him. Very good card in other decks. Pretty good card in this deck, just being able to buy back those pesky little blockers that are so easily able to start giving you a lot of value. And that Frankie blocker is just so good. So much value off that Frankie, especially in this deck. That -2 does not hurt you whatsoever. We're going to go ahead and do Shiki first. He's going to enter taps. We're going to draw 1, discard 1. We're going to pitch possibly the top knot here. We're thinking about potentially using that. So instead, we're going to just discard the Frankie. And then now we're going to -2 on the Frankie's effect. And now we have to make another tough decision. I've got a Gum Giant in hand, and I've got a 2k and a top knot. The more I think about it, the likelihood of me using that top knot is going down quite a bit. We ended up picking up some additional cards here. Up to 3 Dawn, so we could potentially still swing like a 7k, as well as having 1 up for Gum Giant. Once we get to these later turns here, any purple deck that is a Straw Hat character, you can honestly expect them to have 1 Dawn up every turn to have that Gum Giant. That card is just absolutely amazing. Speaking of absolutely amazing things, if you're enjoying this series, good old Spin the Wheel series, definitely subscribe. Join the crew, the All Blue crew. We are moving ever so closely to 600 subscribers, and that would be pretty awesome if we could get there here soon. We made it to 500 so fast, and I'm so thankful for all the people that tune into my videos and watch every few days as I've been experimenting with new series and stuff. And yeah, if you like this type of content, definitely like the video as well. It shows me that you want to see maybe these leaders, you want to see this series more often. I definitely will be showcasing, putting leaders back on the wheel if people tend to enjoy those videos, for sure. Just going and passing into good old Robin's turn. Robin looks like they got a few things in hand. Got a Jewelry Bonnie, another Egghead Nami, as well as some other things. So that Egghead Nami could likely just come down and clear out my Frankie yet again, kind of leaving me defenseless against a barrage of attacks, which would be very unfortunate for me. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. I'm going to play, or actually, it's going to start with the Bonnie, likely just telling me that he's going to go for some damage here. Because Bonnie's effect, if I would take life, he draws 2 cards and discards 1 card as long as there's 1 Dawn attached to Bonnie when that happens. And that looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Going to go ahead and attach 1 to Bonnie. Got 6 more Dawn left. Got a Nami in the front of hand here. Could play that out to clear that Frankie, allowing him to potentially push 2 swings in, as you know, I don't have too much going on. I do have that 1 Dawn up, which absolutely tells you what I'm what one of my cards is, that Gum Gum Giant. And then I think Aegis is also just going to leave 1 Dawn up for his Gum Gum Giant. We're just going to be having a Gum Gum Giant standoff here, as he's got 3 attacks that can go in right now. He's got a 5k swing that can go in pretty easily here, and I just, man, I do not want to give him. I don't want to give him a trigger here. I definitely don't want to go down to at least 1 against a board like this, so we definitely just have to counter out of it here. And that 9k swing definitely is going to pull out the Gum Gum Giant here. We could Gum Gum Giant plus a 2k, or not. We could just take it. Maybe there's a little bit of fear of the Robin here, and maybe just wanted to use that Gum Gum later. Maybe in hindsight should probably just play the Gum Gum here, but now we've got an even better target here, which is that 3-cost Zoro, which is a non-countered card here. So if my opponent decides to swing, I could just use the Gum Gum to save it, but instead, no, we're just going to continue to not get the Gum Gum value, which is fine. It's good. Sometimes it's fine to hold it, but I definitely could have countered out of one of those hits here. Gum Gum, you know, not only is a counter, but it's a good utility card to search for other things here. If my opponent was at a lower life total, I definitely could consider killing him with the Sanji here. We could go Sanji into resting one of his characters. I could rest the Bonnie here to just KO it potentially with a character, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna shut down that Bonnie here. Bonnie's just gonna give incremental value every single turn, so we just want to close that door as quick as possible. And like now we got 4 Dawn up, could go 9k with lead, could go 8k or 9k with Sanji. We're just gonna go 7. Thinking about going 7. We're gonna go 7 into Nami here first. So we know the Gum Gum Giant's in hand. Does my opponent want to pull the trigger on the Gum Gum Giant here, or does he want to wait? I still do have some additional attacks that I could make here. Knowing that my opponent has 1 Dawn up, I definitely don't feel safe going into it here, and we're just gonna keep swinging a little high into this, a 7 into a 4 here. Definitely could be Gum Gum Gianted if you really wanted to, but again, Gecko Moria's on the board, so Gecko Moria's going to swing next. I could also just attach that 2 Dawn and swing 12, swing an 11k. Okay, all right, we're gonna a little flub count here. This is fun games. We decided to swing 6k into the 4k Bonnie instead. Leaving 3 Dawn open. I think I had a plan, and my plan was actually to swing 11k with Gecko Moria, but hold up Gum Gum Giant, and that's why we did that here. And you can't hear the audio, but I can. We're having a little bit of chat about that, but I'll put a flub counter up for sure. That's a flub on me for already pushing it into the attack, pointing at the thing, and doing a little takesy backsies. All right, so it didn't really make sense for me to swing 7 into a 4 anyways, right? A 6 into 4 is perfectly fine. 6 to 4 requires 2 cards minimum. 7 to 4 requires 2 cards minimum, so it's Dawn efficient. We're going to go ahead and swing 11, and this is where the Gum Gum's going to come out. I was really hoping to get the Gum Gum out earlier in the turn, but Aegis sticking to his guns, not giving me the Gum Gum earlier, which allows him to protect one of his biggest threats, which is going to be that good old Yamato here. Pitching a Shirahoshi, drawing 2 cards, and then I am just going to pass the turn. I've got 1 blocker and 1 blocker and a dream, but looks like right off the top he grabs the Usopp, or the Usohachi. If you're at 8 or more Dawn, rest a 5 or less. I believe that blocker is going to be resting. It looks like he's got a Nico Olivia in hand here too, as well as a Yamato. And I believe a Frankie 2k. Absolutely a pretty solid amount of cards here. Into my 1 life with my 3 cards in hand and my 1 Dawn up, right? You can pretty much do the math here. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to rest the Shiki. Usohachi off the top. One of the best cards you could see in a situation where you're trying to go for game. And he finds exactly that. Very unfortunate for me. As this is going to be pretty hard to get out of here. I'm going to be needing a miracle out of life here. and my opponent's just going to go ahead and swing 7k. 7k into me here. I've got I believe a 2k, or actually a 1k and a Gum Gum Giant. I cannot take this hit, so I have to Gum Gum Giant out of this. We're going to -2 Don. We're going to pitch that uncounterable card, and we're going to draw 2 cards. And what do we pick up? I believe that was a Gecko Moria and a 2k here. So we can counter out of a 7k hit, but we're going to be dying to some other hits here, unless something amazing comes off the life here. Man, this is very fortunate. I got excited when he attached 2 Don, but no, he's going to slam down the Nico Olivia, swinging 10k Banish into life here. It's going to be a Sanji 1k, and then we're going to get the rest of 11k, going to go right into Luffy. I bricked out, did not find what I needed in the specific time, and Robin had all the answers, and that's game here, as Robin was able to clean up Black Purple Luffy. And if, yeah, deck lists are right here. If you like this type of content, definitely subscribe to the channel, join the crew, and we'll be doing videos like this every Monday and Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.